and welcome back to the Tea and a Butty podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
Today's episode, we're going to be talking about UK things you can't do in the USA.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's quite a lot, actually. It's a follow-on from our previous episode, so if you've listened to that one, you'll know what we're doing here.
UK things you can't do in the US.
Yes.
I wouldn't think that there would be a lot. I would think that there would be a lot going the other way.
Yeah, there's a lot going the other way. There was more...
I mean, we just found an article, and so we only talked about, like, six-ish things.
Six-ish things, yeah.
Which I don't think...
it's like bullet points.
Yeah, which I don't think we mentioned.
Because the last one was Quora, and they were just kind of like observations.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, they were kind of like observations from an American...
I don't think we mentioned in the previous one. If you guys could think of anything else that you can do...
in the US.
America, but not in Britain. Let us know if you want us to do another one of these podcasts.
Yeah, because it's interesting to see the...
yeah, they're fun to talk about.
Fun things to talk about, yeah.
But yeah, I find it really interesting that there's a lot of things that you can't do in the United States. I would think that there's more things you can do in the United States than you can... I mean,
and some of this stuff
anyway,
you wouldn't think about. It's kind of like thinking outside of the box kind of things, you know?
Okay.
Because, I mean, you know, you're like, oh, I can jaywalk. And, you know... in England, that's one of them actually.
Oh yeah.
So I can jaywalk in England. Well, you know, you know, it's like kind of simple things. You know.
Yeah.
I can get 2 faucets in the UK for hot and cold.
Yeah.
Whereas I can only get 1 in the US.
I mean, I know there's
which has a spigot.
Some really old and really obscure laws.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't delve into them
regarding things that you can and can't do in specific states. I remember learning about that in school, actually, because it was like we were learning about why these things still exist, and basically it just boils down to it's too much red tape to actually strike them off and go, okay, this is not a thing anymore, you know?
Yeah.
So they just basically just don't enforce laws or don't promote that certain things are legal. You know, because it's like kind of ridiculous things that nobody's really gonna need to be legal anymore.
Like if you run over a chicken in Tennessee,
it's legal.
It's a death penalty or something.
Or like, no, I was thinking like weird things that are legal that you wouldn't need to like say illegal, because like who's gonna do that? You know, so like
murdering a person on Wednesday.
Well, I think you would need that to be illegal
all
the time.
Yeah, well, you know,
no,
it's just weird like, kind of like laws.
Stealing Paddington Bear with the purpose of giving it to your 4-year-old niece is legal. You know what I mean? But only if you're going to give it to your 4-year-old niece. Yeah. You know, let's say that's
someone else.
Yeah, then it's illegal.
Death penalty.
So like that's a law. Let's say
death.
Let's say that's a law somewhere, you know, there's no real need to make that illegal because nobody's gonna do that, you know? Yeah, so there's things like that, and that's kind of a separate podcast, but I'd be interested in knowing what some of the old legal and illegal things are in Britain that maybe they just don't.
I mean, we'll probably do an episode.
I'm sure that kind of thing exists.
Yeah,
the same as it does over here.
We'll look into that. And we'll do an episode on that if you want. So let us know. Anyway, this one, number 1 on this list. This is from Indie100.com.
Indie 100.
Indie 100, okay. Yeah. So that's what it says. It's a pretty old article, but you know it's still relevant. Yeah. Number 1 is drinking a pub from the 8th century. You can't do that in the US, can you?
Oh, these are things you can do in the UK, but not in the US.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, again, we're not talking about just things that are legal or illegal or whatever. No, you cannot do that.
The Old Fighting Cock in St Albans, Hertfordshire, features in the Guinness Book of Records as the country's oldest pub.
From the which century now?
8th century.
8th century.
Yeah, I mean, you can go into a pub that's been there since the 8th century.
So that's since the 900s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, you know, just beyond Anglo-Saxon times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
I need to go to this pub.
Yeah.
I need to go there.
Well, it's the oldest in the country is the Old Fighting Cock, you know.
And it's in where?
in St Albans in Hertfordshire.
Which is where, like, what is it sort of around?
Around Buckinghamshire there.
Oh.
You know, it's like middle-ish
I was going to say
England.
Stonehenge.
Yeah.
You guys, sorry, we get so distracted because there is a little dog next door.
It's a little dog.
And for some reason, every time we try to record a podcast, it goes to barking, and it's just like...
It just starts barking.
Every time!
It's like it knows.
Yes!
It's like, I want to be on this podcast
Dominic's like, it can hear us. It must be able to hear us. Well, of course, we're inside
It's
with
like,
the window
you know.
closed. But, I mean, it sounds like it is in this room. Like, it is just the loudest...
Yeah, we've got a very sensitive microphone,
most high-pitched bark. I just... Ugh.
And,
So-
I mean,
So
you know...
you may hear it, you know.
I'll do my
sometimes.
best to edit it out in post, but, you know, if you can hear it, we are sorry.
Yes.
Sorry for these technical difficulties.
We're a very professional
Yeah.
outfit here.
But I mean, eating in a pub 4.5 times older than the country that you live in will give a bit of perspective.
Yeah,
Going back to, you know, a pub from the 8th century.
Yeah.
I mean, would you like to drink? I mean, I've been in some old pubs in my time. I mean, I don't recall if they've been from the 8th century, but I know it's like, oh yes,
They haven't. I mean, how many pubs are in Britain still from the 8th century?
there's quite a bit. I'll have you know. I mean, you know,
That's another podcast. We'll
Yeah.
talk about. We'll do some research.
yeah,
on it.
we'll find
Because
out.
I can't imagine that there's that many. I mean, I've been to Britain. Stuff is not as
You
old
haven't
as
been
we
all-
want it to be. Okay? As
You're just-
Americans want it to be. Okay,
It's pretty old though.
it's just sprinkled here and there.
Yes. Anyway, number 2 is selling eggs in a supermarket without washing them.
And this is legal in Britain.
This is legal.
Yeah, I don't.
Do you know why?
No.
Because it's to avoid salmonella.
I mean, how is not washing them avoiding salmonella, though?
Because the egg has a protective layer
Yeah.
of the bacteria. And when you wash them over here, you wash away some of that layer too.
Yeah, they do. That's why they have to be refrigerated
Yeah.
in this country. But I don't know. To me, that feels like... I mean, either way is fine. They're
It's
eggs,
a cuticle. You know, it's a cuticle, the egg, you know.
To me, it's a little bit of like, you're putting that responsibility on the consumer, you know, to... Like, okay, we're not going to wash these, so, you know, you guys handle them as you will, and, you know, it's up to you whether
yeah, but
you
the thing
get
is, right,
salmonella.
in the UK, right, they've been vaccinating farmers have been vaccinating their hens since 1997 against salmonella, because over here it's like a battery farm.
How can you vaccinate against salmonella? Is a bacteria, isn't it?
It affected...
It's not like a virus or
No,
something.
but it affected... Because, you know, it can be contaminated. You know, like, over in the US, there's large batteries, small quarters, so there's, like, cross-contamination and everything happening. So they have to wash the eggs.
Yeah.
They just sold them as is. You'd have a salmonella outbreak.
Yeah.
But they vaccinate the eggs, the hens, since 1997, after the time when salmonella had affected a huge chunk of people in the country. So it was like, oh, it's the eggs. So start vaccinating them hens.
Yeah. So
They've got the COVID. You know.
So, do British people not get salmonella from chicken then?
Well,
either?
yeah, they do.
Yeah,
No,
because
I
I'm
mean
just
salmon.
like-
Yeah, but it's like it's a major decline in the threat posed.
Because, I mean, salmonella is from a bacteria that grows on things when they're like...
I'm not here to debate policy on it. I'm just telling you the facts here.
I'm here to debate policy.
On whether we should wash our eggs or not wash our eggs, you know.
Welcome to...
I mean, that's why they leave them out. You know, you can find the eggs next to the bread.
Welcome to the tea and the Butty conventions.
Yeah. Because in Britain, I mean, a lot of Americans go to Britain and go, I was looking for the eggs in the fridge and in the refrigerator section, it's not there. And they're like, well, that's because they're over there by the bread. They're like, oh, they're not in the fridge? That's disgusting.
Before we even went to the store for the first time, when I was at your house and saw the eggs sitting on the counter, I was like, I'm not eating those eggs. I was like, how long have those eggs been sitting out? I am not eating them. And you were baffled by that. You were like, why? They're fine. Because you don't eat eggs.
I don't eat eggs, but they're fine.
So you were just
I inherently knew they were fine.
You were just like...
They were from good British hens.
You were just like, No, I could tell you were a little bit like,
Newcastle
I think
way.
That's normal. Yeah, everybody does that. But you weren't sure because you don't
need
eggs.
I have an intolerance to eggs, man.
And you do not have an intolerance to eggs.
Yes. That was her Geordie accent.
In case you couldn't tell where I was supposed to be from there.
But yeah, no, I just, when you first came over, because it was before I went over here, I was like, I'm not eating those eggs. They've been out in the thing. I was just like, what? It's like, they're not washed. I was like, no, they don't need to be. They're eggs.
Well, I didn't say. I didn't know why. I didn't know at that time. I didn't know why they had to be refrigerated. I just knew they had to be refrigerated. I was like, and those are not refrigerated.
I mean, but some people in Britain say I keep my eggs in the fridge. I put them in the fridge.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. I mean,
it's funny because our
you
recipes
can't do that
say,
over here, I guess.
Bring your eggs to room temperature.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess they don't say that in Britain.
No, because they're already at room temperature. Because they've been sitting out.
They've been sitting out in a room that feels like a refrigerator, though.
If you've had the window open, yes. Number 3 is crossing the road wherever you want. You can't really do that over here. That's one thing that America gets made fun of, is the jaywalking law.
I mean, depending on where.
And why is it called jaywalking?
I have no idea.
I came up with a theory as to why it was called jaywalking. I told you this, haven't I?
I don't know.
It's because you do it in the shape of a J, don't you? You come in, you're walking on the sidewalk, and then you turn like that, with the J bends, and you just go straight across the road. Yeah. So it's like the shape of a J.
But I think it's J-A-Y.
Yeah, it's J-A-Y, but yeah, I mean...
Maybe Jay was the first person to get, hit by a car for crossing at a non-crosswalk.
That Jay. Was that Jay guy that got hit by... So he was walking, he was jaywalking. You've been jaywalking, dude.
I mean, this really only applies in, in downtown areas. I was going to say city centers there. In,
And is it...
Because, I mean, you and I, for instance...
In New York City, it's like a big crime, isn't it?
We cross our street all the time. There's no crosswalk. We cross...
Well, yeah, because there's no cops around, is there?
Well, yeah, but even if there was, they're not going to pull you over. I mean, they're not going to, give you a ticket.
They may.
When we cross the bigger road...
Oh, the bigger road up there.
To go into the park.
The big one, yeah. Yeah.
We don't cross at a crosswalk.
No, we don't. We don't do it in the shape of a J either, so...
But in a more busy, downtown area...
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely get in trouble. Because
I mean, in New York City, you can do it, because there's so much, traffic and stuff. I imagine you get more tickets for jaywalking then. You say, hey, I'm walking here!
That being said, that is a law. But, does anyone listening know anybody who's ever received a ticket for jaywalking?
It's like a stereotypical thing about the US.
Yeah, but I don't know if they actually write.
I mean,
tickets
I'm guessing it only entered the lexicon of the UK when American tourists came and were just like, oh, they're just crossing all over the place. That's illegal. It's like, no, you can do that. Come on, and it's like, why is that such a big thing? It's like, oh well, you could get a ticket in the US
because
for that.
I guess in some of the highly dense areas, densely populated. Yes, that's the way to say that correctly. Yes,
densely populated areas of the United States.
I guess when they started becoming more populated,
yes,
and people were just crossing, and there were cars going,
and they were honking,
and they were getting
I'm walking here,
and they were getting hit by cars, and so they were just like, you know what, we can't just let people cross wherever they want because they're
causing that bloody crosswalk.
They're causing accidents now,
Yeah,
they have to cross only at designated spots. It makes sense
because I mean, you do have pelican crossings over here, zebra crossings as we like to call them, as well.
Yeah.
And they don't have traffic lights or anything, but they're like the Abbey Road crosswalk, they're just like that, cars are, not required, but strongly encouraged to stop.
Well, here they have to stop, yeah.
No, they don't have
for
to.
Pedestrians.
I don't think they have to legally in
Pedestrians
the UK.
have the right of way in the United States.
It's just a courtesy because I've been at those and they've just bombed on through.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people like almost get hit by cars. Well, I will say, I was gonna say in Britain, but I've seen it here too. People, you know what? You hear stories on the news all the time about people crossing I-35. I-35, for anyone who doesn't know, listening, it's Interstate 35. That's one of our big motorways for our British listeners. It goes right up
from Mexico to Canada, right?
Ish, yeah.
It goes up to the Great Lakes.
I don't know if it goes. I don't know if it goes from Mexico, but yeah, I think it does go to Canada. Anyway, it's a motorway, highway, interstate, however you call it, freeway. And people cross it, and I have absolutely no idea what they're thinking when they try to do that. We're talking like what, 10 lanes of traffic, 8.
Well, I mean, it's separated lanes by a median,
and there's a median,
so there's 5 lanes on each side.
You're going to have to jump over a concrete wall,
5 lanes of traffic. You're playing chicken, Yeah. I mean, I mean, there's bridges.
Yeah.
Just go to one of them and then cross them, And, yeah. I mean, there's turnarounds too, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just all, it's just little slip roads and everything, you missed a turn and you're just like, oh no. But yeah,
crosswalks, people use them.
Crosswalks, they're there for a reason. Number 4, drink at 18. Can't do that in the US, can you? Yeah. I don't think anywhere in the US has that law, does it? Excuse me.
I really have no idea, actually. The drinking age used to be lower. So I think it was 18, like when my mom was in high school, let's say. I think it hasn't been 21 for that long, but I don't know if it's a federal. I'm not sure, actually.
Yeah, because I think in Kentucky or Tennessee or somewhere like that, I think it's like it's lower. But I have not researched that. I do not know.
I definitely know that.
So please inform me, enlighten me.
I definitely know that as a 17-year-old high school graduate, we were very excited to go to Mexico where the drinking age is 18 and they do not ask for ID.
Oh, no.
As long as you look...
I mean, it's 18 in the UK, but I started drinking at 16.
Yeah,
Possibly even 15. Maybe even 14.
British, I am.
British, mate. But it's... No, I remember going into a pub at 16 and getting served. I clearly remember it.
I don't know if they tried to do it like milestones, because you can drive at 16. You can vote and join the army at 18. But then you can't drink until you're 21. I mean, I kind of think you should be able to do all of those things at the same time, really.
Yeah.
I don't think 16-year-olds necessarily have any business driving. And I also don't...
It's 17 in the UK, the driving age.
Don't think that someone who's 18, who's legal to, fight in a war or get married, shouldn't be able to have a drink, So it's...
Well, I mean, what are they gonna drink at the wedding, eh?
I think make it all...
Can't get drunk at the wedding. When can you get drunk?
Smoking cigarettes, I think, is 18 also. So it's just kind of like, where did they,
You can't have a cigar and a pint of tequila at the wedding.
It's like, what? How did they come up with these ages? Like, I really don't understand, yeah.
I mean, there's just so much, like, that does not follow, with all these kind of things,
I think you're a kid until you're like 25. Sorry if we have anybody 25 or under listening, but it's like...
If you're over 25, you're in adulthood.
Yeah.
And of course, like, as they say, nobody really, adheres to that law, really, do they,
No.
Of drinking at 21.
None of them really.
As soon as you're old enough to realise alcohol's fun.
I mean, I knew
think alcohol's fun and, it's something...
I knew people who were letting their kids drive or teaching them how to drive, like, as soon as they could reach the pedals, basically. Which is a little bit like... No. It's not such a big deal in small towns where there's, like, no traffic. It's not such a big deal over here anyway,
because cars are much less complicated mechanically. I mean, automatic is the rule of the day
I know, but you and I were watching a video where a British girl was trying to learn how to drive, and their parents thought, okay, you're 16, you can learn how to drive. I think they were in Mexico. It's much easier. You'll be able to drive this. It's like a go-kart. It's no problem. You just because it's not an automatic,
Yeah.
It's just stop and go. That's all you have to do. But it's like, no, you still have to know how much pressure to put on a gas pedal, or how much
you just
pressure
floor
to
it,
put
okay? You just
or the brake,
yeah.
how much pressure to put on the brake, so that you don't throw yourself through the windshield or
yeah,
whatever.
done that a few times.
It's like it's not as easy as. I mean, obviously, you're not having to change gears, so that's one less thing you have to worry about. But, you still have to learn how to do it. You can't just put the keys in and just automatically know how to drive,
yeah, of course. It's all about pressure and looks. Serving up pressure
It's all
and looks.
about looks.
Are you looking in the mirror?
Well, yeah,
there you go. You see, you didn't think about that, did you? Safety first, people.
Oh,
Safety first. And number 5 is... get absolutely banged up and then fixed by the NHS for free. You can't do that over here. I mean, there you go. If you crash a car,
yeah,
you're gonna get that bill at the end, aren't you? I mean, unless you've got really good insurance, but then again, your premium is just gonna shoot up, isn't it?
I don't know if I've told you guys this before or not, but I don't know if it was when Dominic was just visiting or shortly after he moved here, and we were like really having a discussion about healthcare and stuff. And you said to me, didn't you? You were like, so what if you get in a car accident and you go unconscious, and you're like in a coma or something, and they've had to take you in an ambulance to the hospital and, treat you however long, while you're in the coma. When you wake up and you're better and you're ready to leave, they'll be like, here's your bill now, and you don't even know that any of this has happened or what's been done or anything. And I'm just like, pretty much.
I mean,
and that is pretty.
But the thing is, if you're in a
up.
coma, it's like they must come to you at the end and go, okay, we need your insurance details. And it's like, well, kind of don't have insurance.
Yeah.
So
okay, then here's your bill.
Okay, then here's your bill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean...
I'm sure that happens, too. Like, all the time, probably,
Oh, these medical bills are killing me, know? And it's like, yeah.
I mean, unless you were in an accident and it was the other person's fault. In
then
which
they
case,
might...
if they have it,
call my lawyer.
You hope that they had insurance and that their insurance will pay for your medical expenses.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is really messed up. People die in this country because they can't afford to go to the doctor and get taken care of.
I mean, well, COVID.
Even simple things.
But the thing is, right, COVID insurance people are going, oh, it's fine. If you've got COVID, we're all going to cover it now. And it's like, oh, but, if I had to go for something else that was non-COVID related, you'd be like, oh, well, we don't cover that.
Yeah, no.
Well, you've got something wrong with your leg or your back.
I mean, even if you don't have,
or whatever.
Even if you don't have insurance, they'll still treat you, but you're going to have to pay for it. Which is why people go to the emergency room in this country to get treated, because they have to treat you at the emergency room, whether you can pay right then or not.
Yeah.
And, people can send you bills all day long. It's just like, if you don't have the money to pay it, you don't have the money to pay it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's a big discussion
that probably
won't get into.
Yeah, it's debatable and everything. Yeah,
but yeah, that is definitely something that you can do in Britain that you cannot do over here. Get banged up and not have to have a huge bill at the end.
I mean, I just keep thinking of you in Poundland and I was like, go up there and pay for it, and I gave you £1, because she was only getting one thing, and you were like, oh no, I'm going to need more money. I was like, no, you won't. It's £1. Go get it, and you were just like, okay, and then you went and got it, and you were like, oh, it really was £1.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the NHS. The only thing it's funny because, people make fun of that, saying, yeah, you'll hear everybody paying about having to pay to park in the car park of a hospital. And it's like they'll bitch and bitch about £4 or £5 or maybe even more.
Yeah.
£10 parking, oh. And it's like, yeah, but you're getting everything sorted for yourself for free.
Yeah, or
you're not hitting $20,000 bills plus.
I mean, or you hear them complain about the wait. Oh, I had to wait so long to get in to see the doctor.
Had to wait because I've got a foot, haven't I? I've got a foot. I've got a foot, and I'm there with my foot.
And that's the argument that a lot of Americans make against having nationalized health, is because, you're still if you have something terribly wrong, you're not going to get it. You may not get it taken care of in time, and you may still die because, you were on a list and there was just so many people ahead of you, and the care that you receive is not that great, and da-da-da-da-da-da. But let them complain about that. Let them say, oh, we don't want that in this country. We demand better health care, and we demand to not have to pay for other people's health care, and blah, blah, blah. And then let them take a flight to Britain. I don't know, have some kind of medical emergency, a heart attack or something.
Somebody did.
Keel over in the street, an ambulance come and take them to the hospital, be treated in the hospital for a week, have a bypass or whatever, emergency bypass or something that's, necessary, and then just get sent home afterward, and that's it at the end. Because they will do that in Britain, won't they? If you have an emergency, even if you are not a citizen of the country, they still treat you with no cost.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure of the finer details of that. I know some immigrants to the UK, who are there on a student visa, have to pay a lump sum before they go. Mm-hmm. And it's and they make that clear. It's towards the NHS, this lump sum of, I don't know how much it is, £2,000 or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And that's it. You're covered for, and that's it. Then,
to be fair, I think, and I have absolutely zero idea about this, you guys. This podcast is just about us talking, so if anybody knows, and I'm wrong, correct me. But I think that I have heard somebody say that if you have health insurance, if you're American and you have health insurance that covers you outside of the country, so like travel, and that the NHS will bill them. They will get money from them if you have that, which I think it's very expensive, and most people don't have that because it's but I think I have heard somewhere somebody say that, to be fair. But if you don't, then, they just treat you like a citizen. You've had a medical emergency. They've taken care of you. They've sent you on your way,
Yeah.
And that's nice.
That's it. That's lovely. That's wonderful. Mm. The last one on this list is see some Roman ruins. Because the Empire didn't quite make it over here, did it?
No.
I mean, I think the furthest reaches of the Empire were Britain, actually. I think that's kind of like where it... Hadrian's Wall was the end, of the Empire.
Yeah.
Of the Roman Empire, it was just like, boom, right there, that's where it ends.
Yeah.
They made it and Hadrian's Wall was like pretty much the border between Scotland and England.
I mean, because Rome didn't have ships, did they? The Roman Empire. Did they have ships?
I think they had some sort of, like, craft. Operated by slaves, obviously.
Oh, yeah, I guess they must have.
Like, what do they call them? Galleons?
Because because they went into, like, the north of Africa, did they?
Yeah, I think they had quite a bit of influence all over Europe. I mean, it was pretty much...
But, I mean, they never left... They never left Europe, really.
No, they never left Europe.
I mean... Yeah, they had a lot of influence all over Europe, but they never really went beyond, for as being like the Roman Empire, they weren't actually all that big, really.
They were just very prolific.
Yeah.
They were just prolific. And a little, I mean, I think in terms of like land area, the British Empire surpassed the Roman Empire.
Oh God, yes.
I think it was the last largest empire there ever was, really, the British Empire. So
do you ever wonder, like, because the Roman Empire, as far as like science and technology was concerned, they were super, super, super ahead of their time.
I mean, roads,
architecture,
plumbing,
yeah. What happened? Like the Roman Empire fell, and then we just we devolved
back,
and it's just like, oh, we had to start over after that.
It's kind of like it was a big reset button, isn't it?
Yeah,
and everybody went back
understand.
to kind of just like, everything just fell apart, kind of like, well, I'm not saying overnight, but Rome fell, the fall of Rome, and then it was just kind of like, everybody was just kind of like, well, that was weird, wasn't it?
That was a weird dream.
That was a weird dream, wasn't it? But yes, Rome fell.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that Roman Empire.
That Roman Empire, eh?
Oh my god. You guys, we're out of time.
We're out of time.
Yeah, we dragged on the previous podcast rambling about it, doing our PBS. What do they call that when they do their, like, when they start begging? Basically.
Begging, panhandling. Panhandling for, you know.
We spent so long at the end of the previous podcast doing that. We won't put you through it again.
Fundraising.
Fundraising. Yes, there you go.
And it's like, oh, I've been fundraising today. It's like, oh, were you on the street corner, were you?
Yes. If you are interested, go back and check that out. We have new benefits on our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/ is it T-Buddy or T-and-a-Buddy? I never know.
T-and-a-Buddy.
T-and-a-Buddy. Okay. You guys, we have a website. It's http as... Do we even say that anymore? Do we say www?
T-and-a-buddy.com.
Yeah, T-and-a-buddy.com.
Yeah, T-and-a-buddy.com. It can go there, you know, so just type that in.
Because everything is HTTPS now, isn't it?
.com. Yeah, I mean, everything's secure now.
Yeah. So you have to go HTTPS : you know...
www.
Yeah.
T-and-a-buddy.
Everybody used to always have to say www. Anyway, yeah, T-and-a-buddy.com. You can find the links to all of our social media accounts, all of the different podcast apps that you can find our podcast on. Although somebody just told us we were on another one that we didn't even know.
Podcast Republic.
Yeah.
And I think then they started listening to us on Spotify. Mm-hmm. Which is Anchor is owned by Spotify.
Yeah. So we publish these podcasts to Anchor, which you can listen to on our website. Each podcast, Dominic writes a little blog that goes with it. Yeah. You can listen to it right there on our website. You
just click play and go for it.
Yeah, you don't have to
because I embed it into the post.
Yeah, you don't have to have a podcast app. Yeah. You don't have to be listening to it on the go or whatever. Or you can. I mean, you know.
Yeah, why not?
To each their own. But
if you're on the treadmill or if you're walking down the street, or if you're on your way to work.
But if you're on the computer, it's right there in the website. All you have to do is click on the blog post and, you know, hit play.
And we appreciate you all for listening.
Yep. We appreciate your support. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys next time.
We'll see you next time for Tea and a Buddy.
Bye.
Bye.